What's up, YouTube? Sergio Becerra II here again, and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm bringing you all a brand new video. And if you saw my last video, I finally self-published my second horror novel titled Frankenstein Meets the She-Wolf. And today I will be doing a book review. So here's the book. I only gave you all a small account where the story takes place. So, let's get right into it. This is Frankenstein Meets the She-Wolf, written by me. Okay, so chapter 1 takes place in the city of Darmstadt, Germany. Darmstadt, Germany in the year 1896. Now, there is an actual town in Germany called Darmstadt, which is where the real castle Frankenstein is. The real castle, in general, is in ruins. But for this book, I had a different description for the castle. What kind of looks like. I guess you can say somewhat similar to what the real castle looks like. So, it all starts off in Darmstadt. You have a French female fashion model that's on the run from Paris, who is wanted for a string of murders. Her name is Anya Beaufort. She's wanted in Paris for 10 murders because of her werewolf curse. No fault of her own. It's just that the curse has a huge hold of her. So she travels to Germany to seek out Victor Frankenstein. As soon as she gets to the local inn in the city, the innkeeper tells her that Victor Frankenstein is dead. They don't tell Anya. The innkeeper doesn't tell Anya why Victor Frankenstein is dead, because of experiments that he conducted, which no one doesn't want to speak about. The only thing Anya is told is that Victor Frankenstein's only son, Heinrich Frankenstein, is in charge of the castle, but still warns Anya, do not go to the castle, because they don't trust Heinrich either, fearing that Heinrich could possibly be following in his father's footsteps. So what does Anya do the next day? Without even telling the innkeeper that she's going to the castle, because Anya kind of like lies to the innkeeper, saying, I'm going to be going around town looking for another doctor and see if they can help me. Instead, she goes directly to the castle, deep up in the hills. She gets to the castle, meets with Heinrich, explains to Heinrich her situation, even shows her the bite mark that Anya has on her shoulder. It even takes, and so Heinrich agrees to help her by any means necessary, because Heinrich has already had his experience already with monsters as it is. So Heinrich and Anya later go retrieve Anya's things from the inn, made the innkeeper think that another doctor is going to take her in and give her the treatment that she needs, not knowing that she's going to be staying with Heinrich Frankenstein. As soon as they get back, settle in, Heinrich explains to Anya his father's past in the creation of the monster. So Anya is just shocked by what Heinrich had to endure by witnessing what Victor Frankenstein had done. All of a sudden, one night, the monster escapes from the castle, gets into the city, goes on a bloodthirsty rampage. So both Victor and Heinrich had to retrieve the monster and get him back into the castle, which causes the townspeople and the police to start marching their way to the castle, eventually not only killing the monster, but also killing Victor. The monster is buried deep in the woods, several about a couple of miles out away from the castle, far from prying eyes, hoping that Heinrich doesn't find out. And police asking Heinrich if he had any involvement, said no. Anya is shocked by what Heinrich had explained, and then during their dinner time, Anya starts feeling the sense of the transformation that a full moon is. Well, she has like a warning sign going off in her head because there will be a full moon. So she's telling Heinrich, "Let me go in the woods and let me carry out my night from the hell I got to experience." He said, "No, I'm going to put you in a cell that was used for the monster." So she goes in there, waits in there for like a few hours. As soon as nighttime falls, she turns into a werewolf. And then sits in the cell for the remainder of the night until morning breaks. Heinrich goes back, not wanting to stay and look at the transformation, gets her out of the cell, and then helps her. Then later on, one thing about my book, it kind of like shifts from one scene to another. So we'll start off with Heinrich and Anya, then it'll switch off to the police. So while all that's going on, you have a French werewolf hunter that's in pursuit of Anya. And the thing about my French werewolf hunter goes by the name of Eric Francois, who originally helped Anya in the past after she originally got bitten by another werewolf that led to her getting infected by the curse and then going on a rampage. And now this same werewolf hunter that has helped Anya now has to go get her, dead or alive. So he explains to the chief of police who he is going after and what Anya really is. And that's when the chief of police of Darmstadt explains to Eric about their fill of monsters involving Victor Frankenstein. So later in the chapters, both the chief of police, William Wolf, and Eric Francois, they go to Castle Frankenstein and ask Heinrich if anyone has been in the castle lately. Heinrich lies by saying, "No, I have not had a fugitive in my house." Not due to the fact that both the chief and Eric, the fact that Heinrich is hiding Victor Frankenstein in the castle. And as soon as they have their conversation, they leave. And then later on in the book, that's when Heinrich discovers some plants that somewhat could be beneficial for Anya, which is wolfbane, if you're familiar with that. There is a real plant called wolfbane. So Heinrich picks up a bunch of wolfbane plants, tells Anya this could be used to make a formula to help stop the transformation and possibly end the werewolf curse. But not knowing what I'm trying to explain as much as I can. Heinrich, while in the woods, discovers what looks like a grave, and he suspects it's the monster's grave. So after returning back to the castle, telling Anya he's found wolfbane plants, hopefully it will do something. Later on that evening, Heinrich goes out in the woods, digs up that grave, and discovers the monster's body and takes it back to the castle and back in his father's laboratory. And then later on in another chapter, both Heinrich and Anya are in the woods. They're having a nice walk together, and that's when they find more wolfbane. Possibly it could be used for another remedy. Heinrich tells her, well, in case the first experiment with the formula doesn't work, I can create a special ointment. In case the first experiment fails. So they return back with the wolfbane. Heinrich later on starts working on the monster. Begins reconstructing him, giving him new organs, his brain's still intact without a problem. And then later on creates the wolfbane formula. with the first batch of Wolfbane plants. Then later then in the next scene, it's nighttime. Anya takes the formula. It doesn't work. She ends up having to go out into the woods and transform once again. And eventually, she ends up slaughtering someone in the woods. Someone in the woods that was with a rifle, trying to figure out what the howling was. And all of a sudden, Anya just comes out of nowhere and slashes the poor man's throat. And then in the next scene, Heinrich finally brings his father's monster, back to life. And then towards the end of the chapter, Anya is in shock what Heinrich has done. So things now get more serious than ever. Heinrich starts with the Wolfbane ointment to help Anya once again and see what it does by performing a procedure right on her head. Hopefully that it would end. And then in the next scene, that Anya goes outside along with Heinrich. The full moon comes out. Nothing happens. She is finally relieved that the curse has finally stopped, and her and Heinrich finally fall in love. But then all of a sudden, the curse takes hold again. Heinrich ends up retreating back into the castle. Anya transforms once again and goes on a bloodthirsty rampage and killing a police officer in the city. Now, as for Eric Francois and the chief of police, they now have a real mess on their hands. That's when finally someone steps up and says, Heinrich Frankenstein has brought back the monster. So both Chief Wolf and Eric Francois now have two monsters on their hands. They now believe that Anya Beaufort is with Heinrich. They've now warned the city that Anya is a werewolf. And now that the monster has been brought back to life, now they have to march to the castle and try to take them both down. Now you got Heinrich and Anya fearing for their lives. Now they got an angry mob marching up to the castle. So what does Heinrich do? He tells Anya, for us to survive, you're going to have to kill these people, including the police. Anya agrees. And as soon as the full moon rises, the monster apparently breaks out of his cell and starts going on a murdering rampage once again. And then finally, Anya transforms. As soon as they take down a number of townspeople and some police officers, that's when the real battle starts. The she-wolf versus the Frankenstein monster. Anya wins. The monster dies. Heinrich and Anya are finally victorious, and I don't want to explain chapter 18 because things kind of get spicy. I really don't want to say it. And then finally, after their little love fest, both Heinrich and Anya are killed. Once their bodies are out of the castle, the police end up finally having to burn down the castle completely. Eric Francois returns to Paris with Anya's body. Victor Frankenstein is buried in the same tomb as his father is. The police and the chief, they use Victor Frankenstein's journal, set it on fire like a torch, chuck it into the castle because they put kerosene all over the castle for the castle to burn. And then the castle finally crumbles. If this explanation sounded kind of boring for you, I'm kind of sorry. I try my best to explain things as much as I can. So I'll leave if you guys are interested in this book, I'll leave the description from Amazon, and you can buy yourself a copy and tell me what you think. It's only $7. Order yourself a copy. You can leave a review on Amazon, and of course leave a comment on this video. Sorry. You can leave a comment on this video and tell me what you think. Again, I'm sorry. I do my best to try to explain my work and what takes place. It's only a 92-page book. I didn't really come up with much as I can for this book. Not like what Mary Shelley did, writing about 200 to 300 pages in her original work. But I try to make it as short as possible. Unlike my first book, it was like almost 200 pages. This I only did under 100. This is as far as I went. I try to come up with as much ideas for the chapters as possible, and I did as much as I could. So I'm going to just leave it as a short book, 92 pages. So tell me what you think. If you're interested in this book, again, I'll leave the link in the description if you want to buy yourself a copy and tell me what you think. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell beside it, and buy yourself a copy. $7. Frankenstein meets the She-Wolf. So for my next book, I will be starting in the near future another Frankenstein book. It's not a sequel. Again, more of homage to Mary Shelley and her original classic work. And I'll just go ahead and give you the title. It's going to be Frankenstein meets the Phantom of the Opera. So hopefully my next work will come out a little better this time, if possible. Right now I'm only doing the rough drafting. I did that ahead of time a long time ago, so let's see how that works out once I start writing it and then self-publishing it again. Right now I'm only taking a break from my writing and working on other things. Hopefully I come up with some way better content. All right, that wraps it up. Take care now. Bye.